Hey guys, we're back with another episode of Venture with Joe and Cody. I'm Joe. There's Cody. He's a lender.
Yo,
I'm a real estate agent. He's in
that's what we
Washington but can
do.
work in multiple states. I'm in Oregon and can only work in one state. So there you
That's
have it.
right.
Um, I
Uh,
sometimes think of like better intros that we can be like, okay, like hook the listener. But
yeah,
I think if
but you
you're
know what's
looking at our
hooking them is our good
podcast,
looks.
yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing I thought of. I also thought that the only reason someone's listening to this is because they need real estate help. Like
Right,
and that is a small pool of people that would say, "Hey, I'm on a podcast. I'm going to be on a
right.
drive for 30 minutes to an hour. Let's listen to Joe and Cody."
Let's see what's
I
going
just
on in the
don't know
real
if there's
estate
a
world.
hook that's like if they're listening.
No.
What I'm trying to say is if they're listening to us, they're listening to us. They're committed.
Yes,
You know,
they're
they're
dedicated,
not
and we
just kind of
appreciate them.
seeing, they're not dabbling in it.
No, no,
They're
you're
like,
you're a
they're
very
like,
specific
I've
person
got
that's
to
listening
listen
to
to
us.
these two idiots. So
Yes,
for 30 minutes every week. So,
yeah. Maybe I'll
uh,
get some good real estate content. Maybe I'll just find out about what in the world's going on in their lives.
exactly. Which I think, at the very least, we said this when we first started it, at the very least, we like talking to each other. And so,
Exactly.
even if no one listens, it's totally fine.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think, a topic I think that is that we talked about off air and that I think is a really valid topic, and I think we've talked about it before, but we're coming back into it. If you have kids, if you have, also debt, and if you have income, talking about like the balance of doing things, activities, or even, on this note, buying things like buying
Yeah.
toys or whatever. Um,
Uh-huh.
and balancing what the savings is worth versus the life experience. And
Yeah.
everyone has a different theory. I know you've mentioned that your wife is of a different theory than you, and mine is as well, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe the opposite. I think now that I think about it, but yeah, kind
Uh-huh.
of if you can get us started off on kind of what you
Yeah.
guys are addressing currently, with that sort of thing. So
Sure. Well, to start, I will say I think for anybody that is in a commission-based um, career can probably relate to what we're going through. I
yes,
think it, and maybe I just have been in a commission base for so long that it just feels that way. But like if I had a steady, stable check every month that was the same, it would probably be easier for me to go, all right, well, this is gonna
yeah,
take us X amount to recoup that.
predictable
We could
income
have a
that could, yeah,
yeah, we could have a good month and recover everything that we just did, or it could be
for
six
sure.
months down the road before we even start to chip away at it. But all that to say, yeah, I mean, we run into this. We're in the season right now of getting into summertime, and we've had projects that we want to get done, um, landscaping work. We want to put in a pool and hot tub, and we're going to build a barn, and we want to get a travel trailer, and we want to go to Hawaii. We have all these things that are like big, kind of big ticket expenses, some less than others. But um, for me, I start to go like, okay, hold on, pump the brakes here. Let's do one thing at a time here. Let's kind of budget for it. Yes, we could do it, but hold on. Let's just
Yeah,
because in
for
my
sure.
mind, I'm like, especially after these years that we went through, where it was like everything was great and you could just business was booming, and then
Hmm.
you go to this like stall out for years, and now I feel like I'm still in this like traumatized state of like, no, we can't spend anything outside of what we have to spend on.
For sure.
Um, but my wife is, she's also in that same kind of mindset, but hers is shifting a little bit more, which is helping mine to shift a little bit more. But I'm like, I'm still a little delayed in everything. Like, I think there's some, I fell off the washing machine when I was a baby. So I think that that's starting to come through. But um, yeah, like her point on it was, our kids are growing up. Our oldest is 15 now. We've only got a handful of years left before who knows, right? Like he might be off to college, he might be working, he might have a girlfriend. Like he doesn't want to do all the things with us. So we got to start kind of planning for that. And so that shifted my mindset a little bit because we've got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old too. So like we kind of have these, it's not like all three of our kids are at the age of middle school, high school. We're like,
Yeah.
we got one in high school and then we still have one going into kindergarten. So kind of a big spread, but
It's
it
a wide
also,
range. Yeah.
yeah, it also has opened up my eyes more though too, to go, all right, well, like, we talked about it off air, like what is what is it going to do me sitting in the bank? It's like it's a nice security feeling, right? Like okay, it's there if we ever need it,
For
but
sure.
it doesn't do any good just sitting there. Like the whole idea on making money is that you use it and, you know, create a nice lifestyle for whatever that is. So it's helped to shift my mindset. I think the hardest part for me is when we go through these seasons of like big time expenses.
Yeah.
And some of it lately has been medical and dental stuff too. So it's
Yeah.
like you throw that stuff in there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to see the number. Like, just spend it and don't tell me how much it is.
I know. I just don't want to see
I'd
it.
rather
Yeah.
not know. Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. Where do you land on that stuff?
Oh
I know
man.
we've kind of talked about it before, but
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about it today because this was not planned, but I was walking in and my neighbor back behind me in the office. She runs her own business, and just talking about that in general, of that stress of it's very difficult to unplug when you run your own shop.
yeah,
It's very difficult to spend money when you run your own shop. Like it's
mm-hmm.
because you never know, and it's not a in the beginning stages of building a business, it's a reasonable thought, but it's not reasonable at this point in my life is saying
Yeah,
that business will just stop. Like, but that is always a worry that you're like, okay,
sure.
that's the last one. That's the last buyer I'm ever going to talk to. That's the last seller I'm ever going to talk to, and so it's very difficult to ever feel comfortable. We have our business, if you would look at numbers, has grown every year, but that doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
my mindset has not changed every year
Yes.
to be more and more comfortable. So, but after talking to you, after talking to my neighbor, it is, you do have to take a conscious step back and say, is this money going to be worth it to me to just say I have it? Like,
Mm-hmm. Right.
when all my kids are grown and gone and we're just sitting there still doing real estate, and now the kids have their own lives and their own, partners and whatever they're doing. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you saved 5 grand, you saved 10 grand to not go on that trip. Like,
Yes.
looking back, are you gonna be like, that was the dumbest thing, I saved on,
Yeah.
Um, and I think you're probably in the same boat as like, man, you feel so invincible when you're younger. To feel
Mm-hmm.
like you're never gonna die. There's so many years ahead of you. There's so many, and there still is with us, but you do get days where you realize, shoot, man, like my
Yeah.
kid's 13 years old. Like in 5 years, he's an adult. Like,
Uh-huh.
and that is insane to me,
Yeah.
uh, and so then you think about those trips. We want to go to Scotland. Ours is more
Mm-hmm.
trip based more than anything. We have come to grips with like, we love our home. There's no need
Mm-hmm.
to, we can remodel as we need, but nothing. So we're
Sure.
not like big purchase searching. It's more of like, do we take these trips? Do we go to
Yeah.
Scotland to visit family while the kids want to go to Scotland with us? Do we want to
Mm-hmm.
splurge on certain things like that? I've always talked about it and never pull the trigger on it, is going flying first class. Like, I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to just do it. I want to do it. But then you see the price, you're like, I could get it. I could just fly normal for
I
way
could still
cheaper.
sit in the
And
very
it's like
back
that
by the
in that
toilet.
head, like, it's like, I'm going to the same place.
Yes.
But it's like, do it. Just do it. So I would
Right.
say, like, within reason, I think I need to be better about doing it. Just
Uh-huh.
not worrying so much about like how to pay the next thing, because it is a valid worry, and I think if you're worrying about it,
Mm-hmm.
you're in a better spot than most.
Yeah.
What was someone saying? And you probably heard this multiple times. If you're worried about doing a good job, you're probably doing a good job. Like, if you're concerned
Sure. Oh,
about it
that's
and you're
yeah.
introspective, you're probably doing, because the people that don't do it are so oblivious to them not doing a good
Mm-hmm.
job at something. Or
Yeah.
um, I think that goes with money, is like, if you're consciously, like, hey, saving, or you're doing the right thing, or and you're
Mm-hmm.
concerned about it and thinking about it consciously, I think that you're already in a better spot than probably 85-90% of the population that just does
Yeah.
swipe. Like, that's a cool thing, swipe, and then they're in debt that was unnecessary.
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know the answer necessarily. I guess I'm just like,
Sure.
maybe trying to justify our stuff, because it's hard. It's hard to be like, okay,
Yeah.
when's the next paycheck? If you were in a paycheck scenario, when I was with OSP and Christina worked for Bank of America, yeah, just okay, let's do it,
Sure.
because I know the
Yeah,
paycheck's
you
coming
knew
in. Let's do this.
exactly.
Yeah, put it on the credit card. We'll pay it off next month or 2 months or whatever, and no
Uh-huh.
big deal. But now it's like to your point, even dental and vision and health, you're like, shoot,
Yeah.
like we have, not only do we pay that, like, but it's like, then you have all the stuff that comes with it. So yeah,
Huh?
it's a real thing. But I think Christina has generally been on the more conservative side of that, being the we need to not do this stuff and buy
Yeah.
stuff, and I'm more on the impulsive, just do it, and worry
Uh-huh.
about it later. So
Yeah.
I think we're both kind of though kind of trying to find that balance of like she's trying to be like we need to do these trips. Like we need to get
Sure.
this stuff going. Like we need to go have fun and enjoy the kids, and then maybe thinking now more of like, what if we put that $10,000 to, a credit card? Like, because for
Uh-huh.
anyone that knows, like, as you build a business, like you go into debt to build a business, and we went
Sure.
into debt to build our business, and we're doing really well, but you got to pay off the debt at some point.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
and
and it's
so
not fun
yeah,
to pay off debt.
no, it's
It's
not
fun to
fun.
spend it on
So
things that you want to do,
yeah,
or
it's
it's
not
like
fun to get
building
an
the
extra
business.
10 grand and be like, hey, let's throw it at debt. It's like that's
Yes.
stupid. Like when we could go to Hawaii, but
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think that's where a lot of people do get into trouble is
yeah.
they will go, man, what if we put 1,000 towards the credit card and then we use the rest, and then that debt just sits there and lingers and lingers and lingers, and it's hard. It's not a fun thing to pay off your debt, but it sure does feel good knowing when it's gone and it's like, okay, back to square
For
now.
sure.
Now anything that we make moving forward, we can kind of hold on to and use for our own stuff. I think my mindset has always been on the more frugal side of things. Um, even when business was going really well,
Yeah.
I still felt like my wife had to be the one to convince me to do certain things or buy certain things, because it's just like logged in my brain of like, I don't know why, I don't know where it came from, of gotta just save it because you don't know what's going to happen. And I don't
Yeah,
know if that's because
absolutely.
that's how the first couple years were, where you're just
For
like,
sure.
I
I
don't
think that
know
is
what
a
it's going
is
to
a
look like.
traumatizing first couple years that you
I
are
think it
like
is.
you don't know what's going to happen, and you're never
Yeah.
confident in your abilities, you're never
No.
confident in the clients that you have, you're never confident
Yeah.
in anything. So there is and that's a long time. 2 years doesn't sound like a lot, but that's
Right.
two sets of 365 days that you're like
You're
I
just
may
living in it
not
every
I
day.
may have to go work at McDonald's and work my
Uh
way
huh.
up in McDonald's because I don't have anything else.
Yes.
Like
Or
and
like
so
when
uh,
you have a good month or months, you're
yeah,
like, you're not thinking I did all the work to get to here, and so I'm earning this now. You're
yeah,
like, I got lucky.
for sure.
Something fell together, and it's this,
For
and so
sure.
it's like it never feels like you're doing these things and you're like checking off your box to say, okay, I'm the reason that these things are happening are because of the activities and the things that I'm doing.
Yeah,
It always
yeah.
feels to me like I don't know where that stems from, but it's just kind of like, to your point, like I'm never going to have another client
Because there's no
again, right?
confidence in that. Like there's no, you know,
Yeah.
when you first start, there is no confidence that that could happen. You're like, that was a fluke. It was a family
Yes.
friend that felt pity
Uh-huh.
on me. That like,
Yes.
that was doing it just because of that. And maybe some were that
Sure.
case, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to kind of get out of that mindset and be like, no, the work you're doing is what's causing that, and there will
Yeah.
be continued work. But man, that does. And the outgo is so much more. Like the credit card debt just
Uh-huh.
piles
Oh
up,
yeah.
and the business debt just piles up because you're not
Hmm.
getting as much in as going out, and then you're once you start getting more in than out, then you're like, okay, now I need to just hold on to this because
Right.
this
Yes.
may switch back, may pivot
Yes.
back the other way. So yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
hard to do, but I would say like yeah, at some point you've got to be confident and know that sometimes I think with getting older, and what's cool about getting older is you can kind of feel less pressure in the sense of like, man, this is only one life, man. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? Like,
Right.
again, you don't want to go reckless. Who cares? But it's like, what
Uh-huh.
whoop de do? Like, if you go into
Sure.
a little more debt than you wanted to go into, or what,
Uh-huh.
you racked up a card a little bit more than you wanted to do. Like, as long as it's reasonable, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, life
It
is
really
like you
doesn't
could die
change your life.
tomorrow. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's then what?
Yeah.
You always plan for this future, and it's like, what is the future? Like, this is
Hmm.
it sounds so
Yeah.
cheesy, but the future is now. Like,
No,
I
it
hate that myself that I just said that, but like
but
like
it's
but
it's
you're
like
like,
that's
you
on
keep
a
waiting. You're like, oh, in
yes.
10 years I'm gonna have tons of money and I can just spend it wherever
Uh-huh.
I'm allowed. Like in 10 years you could get run over by a car, like in 10
Yeah,
years. Like,
dude,
so
totally.
cool. Like
Well, and yeah, and I
like
think that like my biggest like the shift that's been happening in my brain too is a lot of exactly what you're talking about. But it's like if I were to picture myself in 10 or 15 years when the kids are like all of them are more than likely out of the house and kind of doing their own thing, am I going to feel like I just like was holding on to everything too
Yeah.
much and didn't enjoy it because at that time, I mean, shoot, in 10 years, life is going to be so different that I'm going to wish that I had the kid stuff going on all the time. So like
Yes.
I'm going to have more time to dedicate to work, to doing
True.
all the things, to
True.
saving the money, to spending, to doing all that stuff, right? And I really don't want to look back on that and go, man, I really regret not doing these things when the kids were here. Now now it's fun because we can get all the families together and do all this stuff. But like
Totally.
I feel like I was the barrier for that, and I don't want to do that, but
I know.
it's still hard because I
Well,
have to be sold on it.
and one that like maybe this is a question, obviously I'm not going to ask it and expect an answer right away, but as you were talking, I was like, okay, so if someone told you that in 10 years you would be 100,000 more in debt, but you would have gone on the trips you wanted to do. You would have had the toys that you wanted with the kids. You'd had the improvements to the house to make it more fun, whatever. And
Sure.
or if you were, you had 100,000 more in your account in 10 years,
Huh.
but you did half of the stuff, would you take it? Like, which one would you take?
Mm.
Like, and that's a tough
Yeah.
one. Like, I think on the surface, you can argue both sides of that. But
Right.
yeah, you look 10 years from now, and you're like, okay, to go into that much debt, but to enjoy that much of a life, because
Right.
like you said, theoretically, you continue to accrue money and you continue to make more, you continue to build your business, you continue, so
Hmm.
you get more comfortable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
I
can answer
mean,
that question right now because you could argue both sides of it. And there's people that are like
totally.
screaming at this, probably being like, "You're irresponsible if you go into that much debt," and blah blah
Right.
blah. And it's like, but this life, like, what are we doing in the life? Like, what are we do?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Totally. And
Like
and debt
I
and yeah.
it's not all about money. And I'm not. I sound reckless in this, and I don't want to come off as that, but it is just a friend of mine was like talking about like he's like it's just monopoly money. It's all like you pay
Yeah.
these debts, like it goes to someone else who doesn't have the money, who pays another debt to someone else who doesn't have the money, and then it just
Sure.
circles the world circles around
Exactly.
paying each other's debt like of all
Yeah.
imaginary funds, and it's like there is some truth to that. Like
Totally.
uh,
And I think that there's a difference in my brain too, between debt and or spending money on things that are important as opposed to just like willy nilly,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'll throw out whatever. I don't want to throw out specifics and make people feel bad, but
I
like there
know.
are
Like
so many things
let's
that
just
you
use
can,
shoes for an example. Like you buying
yeah,
8,000 pairs of shoes, like of like
sure.
super expensive, and you have like an entire. And I'm not knocking that because I have a lot of shoes,
Yeah,
but
right.
things like that versus like, hey, we went on a trip to Hawaii. We didn't think we could afford, and I use Hawaii because I
Yeah.
love Hawaii, but
Uh-huh.
we didn't think we could afford it. But we put a little on the credit card, or we put it all on the credit card just to do it, so that the kids could have a
Yeah.
week of just enjoyment, and we could enjoy that time together.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's significantly
Yeah,
different than saying I bought like 18 pairs of shoes that were $1,000 each.
exactly. Yeah. And like all the day-to-day things that are so easy to justify or
But
like,
then
oh, it's only $8 or
you
10
can make the
bucks or
argument though that let them do it. Like
yeah,
I don't want to be
exactly.
seen so laissez-faire. It's like, what if they like shoes, and then that makes them that
Yes.
brings them joy.
And
It's always just
yeah.
finding that balance of that of like what. But I think if you're thinking about it and conscious about it, I think you do a much better job at doing it the right way,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Versus like
Totally.
a friend calls and says, "Hey, let's go to Hawaii today," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Swipe the card, let's go."
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is a
I
balance of that, but
For
yeah,
sure. There's a balance. I think that the responsibility side of it is not like how much you're spending on the things. It's just like overall like to me it feels like there needs to be a little give and take
yeah,
where okay, if we're going to spend and do this, let's try to save from this side of
for
things, right?
sure,
Like
for sure.
we go out to eat every other night. What if
Yeah,
we just did that once a month? We're going to
for
save
sure.
hundreds of dollars. Or instead of me getting a coffee every morning, what if I just make my coffee at the office or make one at home? Like, because I feel like there's those little things that you can kind of easily justify doing because,
For
well,
sure.
it's only $5 or it's only $8, but it's in my brain that works so much easier to go, okay, well, if we'll cut back on this, I'm going to change my own oil and I'm going to save
Yeah,
$30. Not
yeah.
that big of a deal, right? But then we add that up over time and we're, blah, blah, blah. So it's,
But I think that goes
I
to
don't
the
know.
core of responsible thinking. Like I think that
Yeah.
you can be what's more or less, I guess, like less, you could be a little more reckless with your spending, but you're
Hmm.
just adjusting other places. And
Totally.
I think that's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. I think I don't know why, but I always feel like Dave Ramsey's like staring over my head. And it's funny because a friend of mine, or a coworker of mine and a friend that we used to work together in OSP, he was a big Dave Ramsey fan. And we always joked
Okay.
because I could not stand how judgmental he was. Like,
Oh yeah.
people, he would be like, "Oh, listen to this clip," and blah blah. I was like, I just want to smack him. He's just so arrogant, so like, "Oh, you can't pay cash for a house? Don't pay it, buy a house." I'm like,
Uh-huh.
shut up! Like, you're
Yeah.
so
Who's gonna have that?
unrealistic and so like, I'm sure there's great trends, and everyone's gonna get mad at me of this. Like, I just couldn't stand how he was personally like insult people. To me, he was
Yeah.
insulting people, and it was this
Sure.
harsh love, like this kind of. Um, but I always hated that. But I always see him like when I'm saying like, "Oh, spend the money." He's like, "No,
Uh-huh.
like you can't do that if you don't have the
You don't
cash to do
have the
it."
money.
But
Right.
but yeah, my friend always like got a kick out of me just getting so pissed at like the comments that he would make on people that were like, and they were being ridiculous. And he's
Sure.
catering to a population in these clips that are they are. I make $40,000 a
Yeah.
year. I just bought a Lamborghini for $100,000. Like, what do I do?
Right.
It's like, you're an idiot, and
Right.
he's and so he goes
Uh-huh.
that route. But I know he's got tips and tricks that work for a lot of people, a lot of our friends. But I'm like, I just don't like him. But I don't, because I do think there's a balance. I don't think that you should be doing that. Maybe it's catered to a different person, but I think that I don't think that's a happy life to have to spend it always just saving and always just like, if I can't pay
Right.
cash, I can't do it. I don't know. I hate saying that because I feel like he's judging me right now, and I don't know
Uh-huh.
why, but I'm like, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? I just think that there's a balance. Like, and he's on
There
the
is.
other extreme of like, if you don't have cash to buy a car, you don't buy a car. I'm like, that's just
Yeah.
unrealistic. That's not
Right.
how life works. Unfortunately or fortunately, that's not how life works. But
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
and he's like, in 10 years, you'll have everything paid off. It's like, well, 10 years, you could be dead. Like, oh, cool. So you
Right.
have everything paid off. Like,
I know.
um, anyways, what's your thoughts on that?
And no, I'm with you. I think again, there's a good healthy balance of like enjoying it and not just getting the money to save it, to hold on to it, to do
Yeah.
nothing with it, but also like putting yourself in a good situation where you can maybe do some more of these things,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like it's all has to go on the credit card too,
Yeah.
right? To where you can be like, okay, cool, it's a good month, like let's apply X amount to this trip or
For
this
sure.
thing, or maybe
For
put it
sure.
in a separate savings account to where it's like you're building up towards it.
For
Like,
sure.
I like that kind of side of it, to where it's almost like you're giving yourself an allowance
Yeah. Yeah.
of,
For sure.
this goes
I think some of the
towards our.
tactics are sound. Uh,
Yeah, I think that I think there's definitely a balance though, because you don't want it to just be that's all you care about is getting out of debt, because then what happens when you're out of debt? You're like, will you ever really be out of debt? Because we're
true.
all going to have
True.
mortgages and probably car payments
True.
more, off and on,
And
or
business
whatever.
owners
Like,
are even worse about it. And I think that's maybe where
yeah,
business owners are okay with, there is good debt and bad debt, whether Dave Ramsey says it or
yes,
not. Like,
yes,
and I think that business owners are more aware of it and more okay with
hmm
it than others.
yeah,
There is true bad debt, that people that just swipe cards to just
yes,
do whatever they want without thinking they have a job that pays them $30,000 a year, but they're living outside
uh-huh,
their means.
right,
But business owners, I think, live outside their means, like have to run a
hmm
business outside their means for a long
yeah,
period of time. And so I think you kind of get used to that. Like, okay, well, we're in debt, but that's kind of that's the baseline level debt. Like,
yes.
and we can handle that versus like, some people that can be truly out of it, if that makes sense. So I
hmm
don't know.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because I guess that's a good way of labeling it, good debt and bad debt, because it's one thing to be able to say, okay, we're going to put this on the credit card because maybe we're not going to get a good check for a month or two, so we're just going to put it on the credit card and we're going to chip away at it, and then when we do get that good check, we're going to just pay it off,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that we can do the trip instead of waiting for
For sure.
6 months or
For
whatever.
sure.
So I think that
Yeah.
there's
You can project
you
that.
know
Yeah. For sure.
instead of like, okay, we're going to use all of our cash and we're going to do this, like,
Yeah.
sure, let's put it on a credit card and like kind of balance it and chip away, because
Totally.
but the constant just overspending, I think, is where it gets people in trouble. So finding a good balance is
Yeah.
necessary. And I
And this
feel
is,
like
yeah.
usually with most, especially like married couples or anybody that's sharing money with another person, I feel like the odds of both of you having a little bit of a different opinion are probably pretty likely, which is good
Yeah.
because then you find a little bit of that balance.
Yeah.
Where it might get challenging is if you're both like, let's spend. We got one life. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Let's
You know,
do it.
like it's almost nice to have that resistance from the other person. That's like,
Yeah.
should we?
I
Should we
respect
not?
it though,
Because
man. I like when you said
yeah,
that, I was like, I in some ways wish I was like that. I was
uh,
like, dude, just whatever. This world is
sure.
a short world. Just live it. Like,
Totally. Which
like,
it is. That's the
uh,
hard part. Is like I'd rather live it like that.
yeah,
You know that
I
you don't
know.
know when it's going to be because I know more and more people over the years that have died at a younger and younger age, and it's just that sad reality that
I
you don't
know.
know when it's going to be and
I know.
there's
Or
the
just get like have things that happen that's like you don't even die. It's like it just limits your ability to do stuff. Like, some disease or some, physical injury that kind of limits your ability. And it's like, man, it's a tough one to determine what you want to do. I think ultimately, like you
yeah.
said, your partner figures you figure it out with your partner, and there's a
Hmm.
responsible line somewhere where, and that responsible line adjusts depending on the person, the job, the career, the
Right.
business, all the stuff. But um, yeah, I think like, and we talked about this maybe in another podcast, is the generational thing. I think has changed too, though, that has
Hmm.
put more pressure on going on the trips, put more pressure on doing the things, and I don't think that's a bad
Yeah.
thing. I think our parents, they supplied for us and they supported us financially and physically with food and
Yeah.
the clothing, and that was their goal. That was
Uh
like
huh.
their, and I think I remember my mom saying something like that, is like they didn't have the forefront to, or the foresight, and it wasn't to do it negative. I'm not knocking them. It was like they didn't think that far. It was like we didn't,
Right.
and maybe my parents came from a very modest, poor background, so they were like, we didn't think about like, oh, we've got an extra $500. Let's put it in here. It was like you
Yeah.
lived paycheck to paycheck, and your job was to support the kids. So there was never a conscious thought of what do you do with money? Like, what do you do?
Uh huh.
What do you do? Like, they were like, you can't put anything on a credit card. We can't even afford our bills. So
Right. Yep.
it was a different mindset, at least with my family. And so but it's an interesting overall general mindset that our generation has, I think, focusing more on getting the events in our lives done now with our kids versus like
Yeah.
our parents were kind of like, in the future, I will have some money to be able to go on a trip. Like,
Yes.
we don't have money to go on a trip, but in
Huh.
the future we will. I don't know if your parents were different or
Yeah.
not, but that's kind of what we experienced, of that kind of just paycheck to paycheck. And there's maybe a piece that comes with that you don't have to think about it.
Right.
But it also, I think there was a struggle with my mom trying to provide for kids and trying to provide for us as a family and want to do those things, but there's just no opportunity.
Yeah.
There just
Yep.
wasn't even a thought of like, should we put it on the credit card? Because it was like, we don't have,
Yes.
we can't. So I don't know
The
if you
credit
have the
card's
same
already maxed
experience with
out.
with your family growing up, or what was your
Yeah, it was
history with that?
definitely very, very similar. Like my dad was a truck driver, and my mom didn't work, and I didn't realize growing up how little money we had
Yeah,
because we had
same.
property and we had a pretty good sized house,
Yeah,
but I didn't know how leveraged everything was, and that it
yeah,
was like there were there were multiple times where they were waiting for somebody to like give them the foreclosure notice. And
yeah.
like as a kid, you don't know. You're just kind of like,
You're just living your
well,
life. Yeah,
we have food, we have clothes, like everything seems normal. We don't go do anything fancy. Our one thing we do every year is go camping. Um, but you just look forward to it. Like that's just normal. And it's not like we grew up in an area where it was just like full of wealthy
yeah,
people.
yeah.
And you come to find out that there probably were actually some fairly wealthy people, but all their money was in their 100 acres and all their
Their land, their
tractors and
tractors, their stuff.
their
Yeah,
animals and
yeah,
all that stuff. But yeah, like we never really had a whole lot, and so I think that's probably part of it too, where it's like just that natural, like when you didn't have a whole lot growing up. And I say that in a way of like I was very well provided for. So it's
yeah.
not like
Same
I,
here. Same
grew
here.
up with nothing and we were
Yeah,
living in a two-bedroom
for sure.
tiny little home, like very, very well taken care of. We just didn't have like fancy cool things all the time and going on trips and everything. But yeah, I think there's definitely part of it too, where like that generation that was just the focus, was just like, we just need to get by. We need to be able to figure out how we can get to the next month and to the next month. And
For sure.
now, we get in a position like we're in, and you feel that fortunate like blessing financially, to where you're like, okay, well, naturally I want to just hold on to this stuff, but at the same time,
but we can think about it.
Yeah, what good does it do me? So we're fortunate, so let's enjoy it. And I always, it's funny because whenever we have a purchase of some kind, or spending the money, and I'm like, it's more the thought of it than it is the actual money leaving your account, because then the money goes out of your account and you get the thing, or you go to the place or whatever it is, and it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like that couple $1,000s that left our account does nothing to me now. It's gone, and it is what it is, but I'm not like tracking every penny
For sure.
that's now no longer there. You're like, all right, well, this is our new baseline of what's in our account. And so here we go. All right.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. It's an interesting, as
It
you get
is.
older, I think you start getting more focused on that sort of stuff. And I think, we're on that train of like, okay, we've built a business, it's continuing to grow, and it's like, now we need to stop being so laser focused on, that. Not that we don't want to be laser focused on it. Everyone, clients listening, we're still focused on you, but also being aware that, you have a family that's growing up around you that doesn't care. Like ultimately, do my kids care if I have 3 sales this week or 4 sales this week? They don't care.
Right.
They want their family there, and so,
Yeah.
and so and that's why part of it is I'm going golfing. You should go golfing more. I'm going to try to go golfing more because Rory loves it. And I'm like, it's summer. He's
awesome.
golfing currently. He golfed yesterday. Like I was like, I need to start like getting in on those like little 9 holes or something just to kind of be there. So,
Yes.
yeah, interesting. As you get older, man.
It's a great time. I got a friend of mine. I'd have to look up the quote that he said. It was his own quote, because I was telling him that Eli was getting into golf too, and his son's a big golfer. He's going to college with a golf scholarship, and
Okay.
he was. We were just talking about like that time on the golf course with anybody really, but like especially your own kid. Like it is such a great time because there are conversations that you will have out on the golf course that you might not have anywhere else, because you're out there for hours, and you could be joking around the whole time, or it could be a little more of a serious conversation. And so to be able to have that time with your kid, to where maybe some of those conversations that otherwise they might not come up, or you might not know how to start them. It's like, well, we're just here together.
Or even in silence, like sometimes it's just there.
Yeah.
You're just there. Like
Totally.
So yeah, it means
Such a
lot.
good bonding experience.
Anyways, okay. Well, I don't even know if we gave advice. We just kind of had a therapy session between each other.
Did, and
so everyone just got to witness it.
Yeah. I'm going to go spend some money now.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to go, like, you're going to see us in Hawaii. Cody and I, we're going to do a joint session.
Yes.
Going into debt.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing our podcast on the beach. Now
this one's for you, Dave Ramsey. Like,
yes. Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, yeah, speaking of what Cody just said, like and subscribe to Venture with Joe and Cody to hear more about us and generally about the real estate market. But there's really nothing going crazy right now in the real estate market.
Normal.
So there's nothing. It would have been a short podcast if we only had to talk about that. So
Yeah.
if you do have anything, comment to Joe or Cody, myself or Cody, and let us know if you want us to cover any certain topics. We'd be happy to cover these in podcasts. But yeah, Venture with Joe and Cody. Subscribe, head to our YouTube page, social media pages, and pay attention to us if you're a buyer or seller. We're going to be.
Yes.
Well,
Just listen.
Until next time, my man.
Hey, this was great.
Yeah,
Good
we'll
chatting
talk to
with
you
you.
later.
All right, sounds good.